I mean, if I laugh at you, I have to laugh at myself as well, because we were in that together, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this one goes here.
Yeah.
And this one goes here. And we were trying to do this one here.
But when we got the microphone stand, it was just plugged like that.
Okay, I will give it a try. This is like an inside.
All right. No worries. Hey, how's it going? So if you guys, I think I've seen you here before.
Yeah.
Sorry? First time here. All right. So is it also your first time here, or? Bearded guy? Sorry? All right. Yeah. First time. So do you live locally, or do you came from? All right. All right. I think I've met you before. Yeah, once or twice.
My insight was wrong.
Sorry?
My insight was wrong.
Was wrong. Okay.
We did not do anything wrong.
All right. So we were right. That's good.
Yeah.
What is it? That's what?
No, like there is a missing thing.
I've been thinking before we start. I've been thinking that it was probably connected straight to the mixer. Maybe the connection is at the mixer, but anyway, we can check it out later. We don't need it now, I think.
Is that wrong time?
Yeah.
Like you keep saying right.
All right.
Yeah, no, the water one, right?
Now the other one. All right. So. Shut up. All right. So good evening. Hello. Can you be quiet, please? Thank you. All right. So, good evening, everyone. We started in the previous week. We started a 4-week. I wouldn't call it a course, but let's say a 4-week session. A session a week, just meditating on the 4 immeasurables. So keeping it light and easy, although the meditating on the 4 immeasurables is so extensive that it's not that it's like easy at kind of a snap of a finger. But maybe what I wanted to do first is just to set a motivation for this session. I'm wondering if, so I know most of you, but I'm wondering if you have had some Buddhist teachings before. Is that your first, or Buddhist sessions before? No. Oh. All right. No, I was asking that just kind of so that I know if I should go religious or not go religious. If I should be pious or not. All right. I think that I'm not sure that okay, now it's on. Cool. All right, so normally when I start a session, all right, so Sonia is saying that this is the first Buddhist teaching session. She missed that last week. No stranger to Chenrezig though. That's good. So normally I start every meditation session that I do personally. I started with, first of all, making sure that my body is relaxed, that my mind is also in the right space for whatever I do. And also, I think that it's a nice way to start also every Dharma discussion. First of all, with making sure that the body and mind are completely set. So for the people that are here, and also for Sonia at home, or for anyone who's joining us on YouTube, then let's do maybe just a 5 or 10 minutes meditation, and I will lead the meditation just to make sure that we're kind of on the same headspace. And also towards the end of setting a motivation, I will also recite the verse for going for refuge and developing bodhicitta as a way of setting at least my motivation in a Buddhist way. So if you feel that it's completely foreign to you, that's completely okay. You can set your motivation in whatever way works for you. When we set a motivation in using refuge and bodhicitta, and we make sure that whatever we do becomes a Buddhist practice. Because if our motivation is motivated by going for refuge, whatever we do will be Buddhist practice. And if we add to that bodhicitta, whatever we do also becomes a Mahayana practice. Of course, if it's a positive practice, if it is a positive thing, if it is motivated, first of all, by compassion, and then bodhicitta, whatever we do becomes also a Mahayana practice. I hear a lot of cicadas. Do you hear me at the back? Sorry? Whatever works for you guys. Or you can come closer. Yeah, you can come closer also. I'm competing with the cicadas. All right. Now I can whisper. All right, so what I do normally at the beginning of every meditation is first of all make sure that my body is set in a comfortable position. So for those of you who are used to meditation, you might have your own comfortable meditation setup. What I normally do is, I sit just cross-legged. I make sure that first of all my back is upright. They said that if your back is upright, there is kind of a nice flow of energy along the spine, or we call it from a tantric perspective, the central channel, but let's say run along the spine. So there is a nice flow of energy, which also helps to sustain a mind that is clear and alert. Now, you don't have to keep your mind too rigid, right? So it doesn't have to be stiff. It doesn't have to be rigid. Just make sure that it is upright. Now, you can keep your eyes closed or open or half open, whatever works for you. It's good to keep the tongue touching the tip of the tongue touching the upper palate, and your lips slightly open, allowing kind of this free-flowing breathing process, and just allow your breathing process to completely occur naturally. So then what I normally do is that first of all, I make sure that I become aware of my body. So let's do that. Draw attention from the outside to the inside. Then become aware of the space that your body occupies in the room. And you can, with your mind, gauge the distance between your body and the walls, the ceiling, the location in the room. And then the contact between your body and your meditation cushion or your chair, your sofa. The hard surface meeting against your feet, your legs. And we will scan the body from toes to the crown, trying to assess if there is any discomfort or tension in the body. And if you find any point that is uncomfortable, just breathe it out. And gently with your mind, lean into that place while allowing the breathing process to occur completely naturally. So first of all, let's begin with the feet. Become aware of your toes, the back of the feet, the ankles. And if there is any discomfort, just breathe it out. And then send your awareness upwards to your legs. Become aware of the shins, the knees, the thighs. And breathe out any sense of discomfort or tension. Then go upwards to the lower abdomen and the lower back. And normally we hold a lot of tension in our belly, the abdomen, the lower abdomen. So with a gentle out breath, make sure that you have no tension being held. Make sure that your chest is open. As I said, allowing the breathing process to occur completely at ease and naturally. You might be breathing heavily or lightly. Just let it flow in a natural pace. Make sure that there is no tension held in your shoulders. Let them fall. Keep them leveled also. And also make sure that there is no tension in the palm of your hands, the arms. They should also be placed in a relaxed manner. And then send your attention upwards to the muscle of the face. First of all, paying attention to your jaws or the meeting point between the two jaws, and make sure that there's no tension held in your mouth, the jaws, the joints. And you can soften your cheeks and soften your eyes. And let your forehead completely melt. And having made sure that our body is completely relaxed, completely at ease, we're going to turn our breathing process to, we're going to turn our attention to the breathing process, a counter round of 21 breaths. So breathing out, stopping, breathing in and stopping. And when I say stopping, I just mean that we pay attention to the transition between our breathing in and breathing out, while allowing the breathing process to occur completely naturally, counting 21 rounds of breaths. And in setting our motivation at the beginning of this session, we can think that whatever we do, from early morning to late night, and even in our dreams, whatever we do is based on a basic wish to be well, to be safe, to be protected. First of all, from physical suffering and pain and discomfort, from sickness, but also from a mental sense of dissatisfaction, pain, anguish, discomfort, fear. So whatever we do that on the basis of wanting to avoid those uncomfortable sensations and wanting to attain happiness, well-being, satisfaction, sense of fulfillment, physical pleasure, physical comfort. Whatever action we take, be it slight or an important action, all of these actions, directly or indirectly, are motivated by those two basic wishes: to be well and wanting to avoid suffering or pain. So as we think of the things that we've done today, for example, from early morning up until now, try to recall even those slight, insignificant actions and see if you can recognize the motivation behind that. It doesn't have to be a very important motivation, but still the drive for some comfort, pleasure, satisfaction, wholeness, wholesomeness, and wanting to avoid discomfort, dissatisfaction, danger, and so forth. And looking at that physical level and the mental level, we can recognize that whatever occurs to us on the mental level is much more significant than what occurs to us on a bodily level, physical level. We seek happiness and fulfillment, well-being, long-lasting happiness, sense of tranquility. We want to avoid pain and dissatisfaction and fear. We can also see how there are disturbing emotions, afflictive states of mind that create a state of mind that is not balanced. When anger arises, the mind is in pain. When strong attachment and desire arises, the mind cannot find peace. It is unsettled. It is thirsty. We have the potential for developing our mind to an utmost extent because none of these disturbing emotions is ingrained within the nature of a mind. Anger is not the nature of my mind. Desire is not the nature of my mind. Pride is not the nature of my mind. Jealousy is not the nature of my mind. All these disturbing emotions arise when cause and conditions are present. And when those cause and conditions giving rise to anger are not present, anger is not there. Same thing can be said with respect to pride and jealousy and attachment. So they're not the nature of our minds. They're sometimes there, and they're sometimes not there. And therefore, if we create positive cause and conditions giving rise to positive states of mind, compassion, loving kindness, ethics, generosity, concentration, wisdom, that understands reality. And we also habituate the mind thoroughly with those positive states of mind. Maybe we can turn them to be a second nature to our mind. So imagine how it would be like to have a mind that is completely free from anger. Is it possible? how it feel like to have a mind that is completely free of anger and hatred. A mind that the thirst of attachment is completely absent, with no jealousy whatsoever, no pride whatsoever. Not being confused about reality. And a mind that is completely open and spacious. Imbued with loving kindness and compassion. Now, if you think this is the type of mind I want to have, this is a state of mind that I want to have, well, we can do it because anger, attachment, and so forth are not the nature of our mind. We can eliminate them, become completely accustomed to positive states of mind. We have teachers that teach us how to do it. We also have freedoms and richnesses that allow us to develop our mind to an utmost extent. We don't have a lot of time in this life that we can put to use to do that. So rather than thinking that I can do it tomorrow or the day after, next year, when I retire, when I go on a break, think that today I'm going to start taking care of my own mind, developing my mind in a positive way, in a positive direction. I will start right from now. And if you see yourself as Buddhist, then you can think that in order to develop my mind to an utmost extent and remove all faulty states of mind, I'm going to first of all rely upon the teacher, the Buddha. Have confidence that the Buddha has done the work himself. And in achieving the state of enlightenment, he taught us the Dharma. But our actual refuge are true paths and true cessations that we can develop in our own mind. An insight into the deepest level of reality, which will bring a stop to afflictive states of mind. So that would be my actual refuge. And also put my trust in the community of practitioners and spiritual teachers that put forward for me the teachings of the Buddha, giving me an explanation and advice. So I take safe direction in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Not only for my sake, but also for the sake of all living beings that extend to the reaches of space that have been kind to me directly or indirectly, since time without beginning and up until now, through myriad states of rebirths that I've already taken. So we can think to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest assembly. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. By the accumulations I gather through generosity and so forth, may I become a Buddha for the sake of all. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest assembly. By the accumulations I gather through generosity and so forth, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest assembly. By the accumulations I gather through generosity and so forth, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. All right. So having spent, I think, a couple of probably 20 minutes or 15 minutes correcting the motivation, what I wanted to do today is just speak a little bit about the 4 immeasurables and to go back to immeasurable equanimity that we began in a previous week, and at the end also to do maybe some meditation on immeasurable equanimity. So, as I said, I'm just going to recap some of the things I've said in the previous week to make sure that we kind of more or less on the same page. So the 4 immeasurables is a practice that is practiced across all Buddhist traditions, not only the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, which belongs to the Mahayana tradition, but all Buddhist traditions value the 4 immeasurables. And just a couple of days ago, I was listening online to an exchange between 2 Theravadan monks. I think they're probably in the Thai tradition. I think that both of them were Americans, and they were so deeply, it seems that kind of whatever they spoke of, whatever they exchanged with each other, and also the questions that came from the viewers at home was so based on the 4 immeasurables that I thought of, wow, it seems that they emphasize that even more than the way that we emphasize it here in these traditions. It was actually quite I'd say inspiring. So normally when we speak of the 4 immeasurables, when we practice them here in this tradition in a Mahayana way. We use them in order to increase the power of our bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment. So we develop the mind of enlightenment. We think, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. And then in order to make our bodhicitta, our mind of enlightenment, stronger, we meditate on the 4 immeasurables. Sometimes we just say them because this is what we do. Kind of, we have different rituals, different texts, so we just go through them quickly. But sometimes we meditate on them. Right, we take the time to meditate on them, and we can also take the time to meditate on each one of them separately. Dedicate a session or even a day for meditating on 1 immeasurable, even a month or a year to meditate on 1 immeasurable. So normally we say, may all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. That's immeasurable loving kindness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and its causes. That's immeasurable compassion. May all sentient beings never be separated from soulless bliss or sorrowless happiness. That's immeasurable joy. And may all sentient beings never be separated, may all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from bias that holds some as close and other as distance. Or you can also say free from the bias of anger and attachment, which holds some as distant from you and some as close to your heart. So this is the normal way, or the brief way that we say the 4 immeasurables, but we can also say it more extensively. Like, for example, how wonderful it would be if all sentient beings had happiness and the cause of happiness. May they have happiness and its causes. I will make them have happiness and its causes. So it's not just a general wish. You also you take upon yourself the responsibility for making that happen. So you do it more of in a Mahayana way, although I think that probably our friends in the Theravada tradition practice it also in a similar way, also taking upon themselves the responsibility for making that happen. So then may all sentient beings be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. How wonderful it would be if all sentient beings were free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they be free from that, from suffering and the cause of suffering. I will make them be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. And then may all sentient beings never be, how wonderful it would be if all sentient beings were never to be separated from soulless bliss. May they never be separated from soulless bliss. I will make them become separate, never be separated from soulless bliss. And then how wonderful it would be if all sentient beings were to abide in equanimity, free from anger and attachment, holding some as distant and other as close. May they abide in equanimity. I will make them abide in equanimity. So this is those are the 4 immeasurable. But then, as I said before in the previous week, that although we say them in this way, often the way that you put them into practice could be, so it's not that there's only right way of putting it into practice and all the other ways are wrong ways of putting them into practice, but you can start with developing immeasurable equanimity. Because the thing is that when we develop immeasurable loving kindness and immeasurable compassion to others, we want to start with a mind that is balanced, the mind that holds all living beings with a sense of care. So often when we think of wishing others to have happiness or to be free from suffering, it's easy to wish that for those who are close to our heart, right? So we start with those, with our family members, for example, or dear friends. And it's easy to think of those people in our close surroundings that that we really care for. And then we can extend it a little bit further on to think of, like, for example, high school friends or friends from work, or friends that we meet for the weekend, or people that we do sports with, people that we do swimming with, or what have you. So we can extend it to them. And then we can extend it also to those that live in the same place as us, all people at Kyoto, the Sunshine Coast, or in Queensland, in Australia, and so forth. You can say it's also to a great degree, it's easy then to extend it to those people that we don't have a particular connection with. In a sense that, for example, you go to the post office, you go to the supermarket, you drive in the street, you drive in the road, you're walking the street, you see people that you might know the face, you might even know the name, but you don't have any particular connection with them. They neither help you, nor they benefit you, at least, nor they harm you. Kind of in that sense, you have a sense of indifference to them. So you can also extend that sense of care to them when you start to think about it. You start to think that may they have happiness and be free from suffering. But it's quite hard to do it with people that bug you, people that irritate you, people that annoy you, and even more than that, people that you dislike, even more than that, to people that you hate, people that you kind of strongly disagree with, or those that kind of you just don't want to look at. It's hard to kind of think, may they be happy, may they be free from suffering. So whenever we want to practice these 4 immeasurables, in which we think, may all sentient beings have happiness, may all sentient beings be free from suffering, we want to have that sincere motivation, in which we really mean that may all of them have happiness, may all of them be free from suffering. We don't want to kind of classify them into friends, enemies, and strangers. We want to care for them equally. And we want to care for them equally to begin with, because we can see how we can think that to begin with, that from their perspective, they're not different to us. In that it seems that, at least when I look at the people here in this space at the Gompa, now I know some of you, and some of you know we've never met before, or actually we met maybe in the last couple of days. No, it's not that we know each other to a great degree. So it might seem that we are not connected and we are not related. There is me here and you are there, out there, outside of myself, and there is no connection whatsoever between us. We're not dependent upon each other. We're not related to each other. But then one thing that we can think of is that although we don't know each other, we can still assume that we have the basic wish to be happy and not to experience any suffering. And it's not kind of, we might think about it differently. You might think about it in relation to your own gender, in relation to your own skin complexion, in relation to your own ethnicity, in relation to where you came from, in different languages, but still that bare feeling, that bare wish to be happy, to be well, to be satisfied, to have pleasure, to have a state of mind that is quiet, state of mind that is open. It's exactly the same for all of us. It doesn't regardless of how we look like, where we came from, what language you speak, that basic bare feeling of just wanting to be well, wanting to be healthy is shared between all of us. So it's like having this invisible, you can say, line or thread that connects all our hearts, that vibrates exactly in the same way. All of us want equally to be well, and all of us equally want to avoid suffering and pain and dissatisfaction, fear, not being healthy physically, but also not be healthy mentally. All of us want to avoid that. So then we think that sometimes we think that there's something that is quite special about us, something that separates us away from others. But actually, in that sense, we're all the same. So first of all, kind of in thinking may all sentient beings, when we think may all sentient beings abide in equanimity, we think that it's actually suitable to wish everyone to abide in equanimity, free from attachment to anger, holding some as close to my heart and others distance to my heart, because all of us are equal in terms of wanting to be happy and not wanting to suffer. So from others' point of view, it doesn't make sense, for example, to think that I want the people here to be happy, but people that live somewhere else, I don't care about them. If all of us have the same basic wish to be happy and not to suffer. It's not fair actually to wish only some people to be happy and other people not to care about them if all of us have the same basic wish or aspiration. So that's from other people's point of view. But also when we think of our point of view, we can see how when we don't hold others as equal, or when we don't have an equal sense of care to others, and that's actually what happens to us most of the time, that we don't have an equal attitude towards others, we can see how it affects the mind and creates an unbalanced state of mind. So long as we hold some as close to our heart and others distance from our heart, and those that are in between us, which means that we neither care about them, nor that we hate them, or know that we have a sense of attachment to them, we have a sense of indifference to them. For as long as our mind is affected by those attitudes, anger and attachment and so forth are present in our mind. And those states of mind are not comfortable or pleasant state of mind. And we can think of how painful, for example, it is to be angry. Like none of us really wants to be angry. If had it been possible to undergo a procedure in which anger would be completely uprooted, like amputated from your mind, had it been possible, I think that all of us would have lined up to that. It's not a pleasant state of mind. It's not a healthy state of mind. And also whatever we do motivated by anger ends up badly. I mean, sometimes we come up with justification for being angry. We think that I was right in that situation to be angry. That was the right thing to do because being angry, I was able to solve my problem. I was able to navigate my way to a better situation. So it might be that you were able to act in a particular way, that I'm able to act in a particular way under the influence of anger. And yet, just when you start with looking at the bare feeling of being angry, you can see how anger is not a comfortable state of mind. Like if you can choose between taking a course of action, and you can choose whether you're going to do it with anger or you're going to do it without anger, I think that all of us would have chosen to do it without anger. Without anger, we have an ability to act in a way that is so much more on the ball, precise, correct, in the right way, and also a way that will allow our mind to examine the situation from different perspectives in order to work out a solution for a certain painful situation in the best possible way. Whereas as soon as anger arises, it completely skews our judgment. Not only completely skews our judgment, kind of the way that we react is something irrational. And often it also adds to a sense of regret. I mean, I can remember so many different situations where, I felt that I've been harmed, something that was done to me, either justly or not justly, and I reacted with anger. And kind of, sometimes the heart kind of just, you get kind of this sense of discomfort, or you flinch, or kind of you cringe when you think of the way that you've reacted in a certain situation because of anger. So if we do have the ability to choose how we're going to react, I believe that none of us would choose to react with anger, because we know that it's a painful state of mind. But also with a sense of, when we think of attachment and how attachment feels, sometimes attachment feels that it's there to help us. It tells us that there's something that we need to get. And if we were to only get the thing, it would make a situation much better. If we had more money, better food, better phone, better car, better rollerblades. If we get into a relationship with a person that we like, that happiness depends upon that person. If only we would get those things, it would make us happy. This is what our attachment tells us, right? So it whispers in our ears that it's good for us. And it is true that you can get some pleasure because of attachment. It gives us some pleasure. But still, if you just examine the sensation that arises in our mind when we have that strong sense of desire that arises, it creates that sense of thirst. It is a disquieting state of mind. So it seems sometimes that the opposite of attachment is detachment, like becoming completely numb, completely desensitized to what's happening around you, kind of not wishing for anything, not wanting anything, just like being like almost like a vegetable in a vegetable state. But if you kind of think of how it'd be like to have a mind that first of all is completely open, completely alert, but also without that being on edge because of a strong desire, not being thirsty, not having that strong yearning to get something, and unless you get that thing, you will not be able to be happy. Sense of satisfaction with a sense of satisfaction and sense of contentment, not with that thirst of attachment, it's a much more pleasant, a quiet, relaxed state of mind. So I'm saying that because when we think of equanimity, may all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from the bias of anger and attachment, we can begin with thinking of how it would be like for our mind to be free from those disturbances of anger and attachment, would have a mind that is much more balanced, much more quiescent. Jonah, did you want to say something? Or? No, okay. All right. No. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So from others' point of view, because others want to be happy and they don't want to suffer, because just like us, it is sensible, it is just, it is right to think, may they abide in this way. But also from our point of view, when we think of how anger, attachment, and so forth, those states of mind that are not balanced affect the mind, it also makes sense to, first of all, balance out those states of mind in our mind, but also to think, may others also have that state of mind. Because also when we think of how we are affected by the deeds of others, and when others are motivated by anger, attachment, and so forth, it creates problems for them, but it also creates problems for us. It also creates problems for people that are close to our heart. And it's actually quite an interesting thing, because when you think of, first of all, people that are close to your heart, people that you care about, and you also recognize that they have some strong manifestations of anger, agitation, irritation, and you can recognize how it makes them unhappy, so you can sincerely wish them to be free from anger. And the same thing also with a sense of attachment. When you say that there's the sense of thirst, dissatisfaction, they're not content with what they have, and there's that pain of looking for something and not being able to find it. Or with a sense of attachment that if they have to be separated from what is dear to the heart, they break down, they completely fall apart. And you think, may they not experience that? Then you can wish those who are close to your heart not to have that strong desire, to be free from strong desire, and to have a mind that is more balanced. It's much harder to think about it in relation to people that you dislike, or in relation to people that you think that have done so much wrong in their life that you want them to be punished. Sometimes it feels like wishing for someone to have a to have happiness, to be free from suffering, is like giving a bonus, giving a present to someone. Whereas if someone has done quite a lot of wrongs in their life, it's actually they deserve pain. So now when you think about, for example, we experience a society that is quite polarized. Now, I think that at least in a Buddhist setting, when I think about my Buddhist friends, most of us kind of have similar views, although not all Buddhists, of course, think in the same way. So I think that at least amongst my friends here and my friends overseas, many people disagree, for example, with Trump. It's like the arch villain. But I have, by the way, I have also a Dharma friend that actually is a massive supporter of Trump. Completely baffles me, but it's not that all of us are Buddhists are kind of against Trump. But anyway, for those that see that, for example, Donald Trump is an arch villain. I mean, if you think about, for example, wishing someone like that to be happy, to be free from suffering, to have equanimity in the heart, you're not just wishing that person to be well, but you're actually wishing them to have that state of mind that would be not destructive to others. So if you think about how, for example, someone is behaving in a way that is so wrong, rather than thinking that may they be punished for what they do, if you think that may they be free from a mind that is so detrimental to others, may they be free from the mind that is so affected by anger, by hatred, by animosity, by attachment, by the sense of divisiveness, how wonderful it would be, not only for themselves, but for all the people around them, if they were to be free from those polarized state of mind. It makes actually sense, right? It makes sense not to actually just want to be vengeful, but we think that may they be mentally sound, may they be mentally healthy, so that may they affect all the other people in their surrounding, and even further than that, all the people that they come in contact with. So it's actually a rational state of mind. It's not just kind of a hippie-ish kind of state of mind, right? It is completely sensible, it's completely valid, completely makes sense. So then I think that when you meditate on equanimity, you have, sometimes I saw that, for example, in Lama Tsongkhapa's text, the Steps of the Path to Enlightenment, it says that he explains equanimity in relation to the practice of bodhicitta. It says that when you develop bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment, the mind that wishes to become a Buddha for the sake of all sentient beings, you need to start with developing equanimity, in which your mind is free from that passive holding some as close to your heart and others as distance, because you want to develop an equal sense of care for everyone without exception. So you have to start with a balanced mind. And on the basis of a balanced mind, then you can develop loving kindness to others, compassion to others, and then take upon yourself the responsibility to care for others in an equal sense. And then to think that for that end, I will become a Buddha. So you have to start with equanimity. But then it says that, so you have equanimity in relation to the development of bodhicitta, but you also have equanimity when you meditate on the four immeasurables, but it doesn't really explain the way to meditate on equanimity in relation to the four immeasurables. So I was thinking about it, and I was thinking that in order to wish for all sentient beings, you say how wonderful it would be if all sentient beings were to abide in equanimity, free from the bias of holding some is close to your heart, some is distance from your heart, free of anger and free from attachment. You have to start with, first of all, making sure that your mind is an equanimous mind. So you can start, first of all, with developing equanimity in your mind, or you can also do it together with respect to yourself and with respect to others. So when you develop equanimity with respect to yourself, you start with, in your own mind. Lama Tsongkhapa says that you follow a certain process by which you want to balance out a sense of attachment. You want to rid yourself of a sense of aversion to others. So you begin your meditation with those strangers, those that you feel a sense of indifference to. So you don't begin with those that are close to your heart, because it's easier for attachment to arise as soon as you start thinking of people that are close to your heart. So you start with those who are rather stranger to you, or rather than strangers, those that give you neither pleasure or benefit or happiness, those that do not harm you. So it doesn't have to be someone that you don't know. It's like when we think of, for example, when we think about people here, for example, right? So we can say that I know some of you well, and some of you have just met today. It's not that I don't care about you, but you can say that for most of us, also, for me, myself in relation to you, we hadn't had that long-lasting relationship or long-term relationship in which I've given you so much joy and happiness and benefit and so forth. And also I can say that with respect to you guys here, it's not necessarily that you've given me that amazing pleasure and happiness and comfort and necessities and money and possession and chocolates or what have you. So in that sense, I can wish all of you to be happy, to be well and so forth. But, it's still probably you can say that when you think of my family members or, other friends, it might be that I would feel more closer to them. So I can start with people in this room. And I think that just as I wish for myself to be happy and not to suffer, so is everyone here in this room wishes exactly the same thing. You're not different to me. We're actually exactly the same. So we can think, we can start with those who are not strangers, but those that we do not necessarily have a great sense of attachment to. So first of all, we do that. Then Mama Tsongkhapa says, you move on and meditate on those that are closer to your heart. And you wish them to be happy and to be free from suffering. And then when you do that, you start thinking of those that are further away from you, or those that you dislike, those that give you problems, those that you either annoy you slightly, or those that kind of, whenever you think about them, whenever you hear the name, or whenever you hear the voice, it gives you the creeps. It kind of makes you completely uncomfortable, kind of you cringe, or kind of do this, your heart closes. I mean, I can think of people from the past that I had, those difficult exchanges with, and even though, as a Buddhist practitioner, I try to kind of develop my mind, it's still kind of, we still react in a certain way to certain people based upon habits that we've developed before. So, so I might try to think of everyone with a sense of care and compassion and so forth. Still, some people, when I hear the name or when I think about a certain situation, my heart tends to kind of close again. So we think about them as well. We think that how wonderful it would be if they would be free from, we think about them in relation to, in a sense that we balance out our attitude with respect to them, in thinking that just like me, they want to be happy, just like me, they want to be free from suffering. So we can begin with developing some equanimity in our mind, and then think how wonderful it would be then if everyone were to have that equanimous state of mind. So we can first of all create equanimity in our mind, and then wish others to have equanimity in their mind. Or I think that you can also do the following thing. You can think, if you start with strangers, which means those that give you neither benefit nor pain, no harm, you can think, they're just like me, wanting to be free from suffering, wanting to have happiness. May all of them also have a mind that is free from anger and attachment. Then you work with those who are close to your heart. And you think that you balance out your mind with respect to that. And you also think, may their mind be free from anger and attachment. May their mind have equanimity. And then you work with those that you don't like, that you dislike, those that you hate or whatever. And you also think, may they be free from a biased mind. May they abide in equanimity. And again, as I said before, when you think of equanimity, it's not a mind that equanimity is not a mind that does not care about anyone else. It's not a mind that is cold-hearted, that thinks that whatever happens to someone else, it's not my concern because I don't like them, but also I don't care about them. So it's not a mind of, equanimity is not a mind that doesn't care about anyone. It's a mind actually that cares for anyone, for everyone, exactly in the same way. So I thought of maybe we can practice it together, equanimity today, but I wonder if before doing that, you have any questions, anything that you want to clarify or ask?
Sometimes I would it's hard to describe, but I would see like friends and family and I'd be like, why can't you just see my point of view?
Mhm.
Why can't you just be like, why can't you? I guess I wasn't explaining things in a way, but I feel like my ego got in the way of it a little bit. I was like, oh, I'm so happy. Like, why can't you be happy with me? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
And my ego is just, I think like the wisdom to explain it.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's particularly, now I've been living here in Australia for the last 15 or 16 years. And, my daily life is, I'm interacting with people in this community and also most of my friends here in Australia from the Buddhist circles. I have, some friends outside of the Buddhist circles, but naturally, most of the people that I come in contact with are people that are, around the center. But then every once in a while, when I tend to go home and spend some time with my family members or, friends and so forth, which are not Buddhist or not necessarily interested in what I do, it's sometimes it's easy to kind of fall into those situations, to end up in situations where I think that behaving in that way is kind of not really helpful. It's not helpful to you. It's making you miserable. It's making you unhappy. It's not helpful to you, in your family relationship. It's not helpful to the people around you. Why can't you be rational about it? But we do have different dispositions. If I expect them to change because I see myself as Buddhist and I know what the right solution is or what's the right way to think, and for me everything looks clear and easy and so forth, inevitably for them it's different. I mean, it's make it even harder when you think that everyone should be thinking about you, because also, having lived here for quite a few years, I've seen during the years people that have come across Buddhism, and they also expected the partners, the husband, the wives, and so forth, also to become Buddhist, to see the light, to think exactly in the same way. And it's quite interesting because I think that I can count at least 2 or 3 relationships that broke down because of those expectations. The partner got into Buddhism and thought that the partner definitely should think like them. And if they don't think like them, they're not true Buddhists, real Buddhists, true practitioners. Those expectations are kind of unrealistic. So I think that kind of we always want to, sometimes it is frustrating because you see someone that is not thinking rationally, and also ending up harming themselves. When someone is getting angry, when someone has jealousy and pride and is tend to be abusive to others and talking to others in a way that is pejorative, they're harming others and they're harming themselves. And when you see that, it's easy to get frustrated, but it's also, you get frustrated because other people, but you also get frustrated because of them, because you see that it causes them to be unhappy. So sometimes it's good to try to be skillful about it. If you can point out sometimes in an indirect way how it is not really helpful to them, it's not really helpful to others. You can point it out when it happens, or you can also point it out after that. But sometimes it's also good to just set an example. I think that if you set an example, any way that you relate to others is kind of so it improves. It's more relaxed, more at ease, more balanced. I think that it has those rippling effects. It's like sending out small waves that do at the end affect others. I think that at least when I go home and I communicate with friends and family and so forth, first of all, wearing the robes, of course, always like puts me in the limelight. So, I can't really afford to behave in a way that is completely, I cannot go on a rampage. If I do, it would be pretty embarrassing. But also, I always think that, well, because I anyway think that I'm a bit of a wacko, that I'm a bit strange, I have to behave in a way that is rational, not a way that is outrageous, in a way that kind of show that actually you don't have to be strange. You don't have to be a complete kind of completely out there to be, you can just behave normally and soundly interact with other on an equal ground. And I think that it does affect people's mind. Kind of sometimes the light, kind of light bulb is coming out. So I think that maybe that's one way of thinking about it. Yeah, but it can be frustrating. Particularly, it is frustrating when with the people that are close to your heart, it's so easy to have equanimity with respect to someone that is not that close to your heart. It's so easy not to get upset, not to get angry, or not to have a strong attachment with someone that is more distant from you. I mean, the people that are really difficult to practice with, those are people that are around us, that are close to our heart. Know how hard it is to be patient with someone that is close to your heart. It's much easier to be patient with someone that is a bit closer, further away from you, because you think that, I don't know, it's not that I meet them every day. It's not that I have to share the same house with them. Or I can always step away from a certain situation. So therefore it's easy to be patient with them. But those who are more closer to you, it's much harder. So it's a really long and enduring task. More questions or comments?
I had some feedback that people watching on Zoom, you're doing a good job.
Okay, thank you.
You got it.
All right. So maybe let's do a brief meditation, equanimity, just to kind of think of ways that we can integrate it into the way that we think. Now, as I said at the beginning of the session, normally I start each meditation with the same pattern, the same routine, this is what works for me. There's something else that works for you, that's completely cool. It's not that there is a definitely wrong way to meditate and absolutely right way to meditate. Of course, I think that there could be wrong ways to meditate, in a sense that if you meditate on anger and hatred and so forth, it's not the right way to meditate. But if you have a posture that works for you, if you have a way of getting into the zone that works for you, that's best. Continue to do it. For me, what works for me is that I start every breath meditation or longer meditation. First of all, we're doing at least one round of 21 breaths in order to make sure that my mind is focused, that my mind is centered. Sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't work well, so I do another one and another one. Sometimes I do 3 rounds, sometimes I do 7 rounds. It depends on how much time I have and how much patience I have. So let's do that.
You're watching the pause between breaths, yeah.
Now, well, what I do is I divide each breath to breathing out,
Okay.
breathing in or transitioning, then breathing in. Sorry, breathing out, stopping, breathing in and stopping. But the stopping is just a transition between breathing in and breathing out. So it's not that I stop and then breathe out. I allow the breathing process to occur completely naturally, but I use the breath or breathing just as a way of centering my mind. And of course, sometimes I think that sometimes people prefer to observe the sensation of the flow of air from the nostrils. Some people observe the abdomen. Some people observe the thoughts or the transition between the thoughts. So it depends on what works for you. And also sometimes you can do just different things. You can change your routine whenever you feel like.
So this 21 is just counting the number of breaths.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I do. And then, so let's do that. And then we'll do some meditation on equanimity. Yeah. All right. So again, sit in a posture that is comfortable for you. You can sit on the floor or on a chair, on a cushion, on a sofa. Try to make sure that your back is upright, that your body feels completely comfortable. And then turn your attention to the breathing process and count a round of 21 breaths. And then recognize, just like when we began this session, that whatever we do is motivated by the wish to be well, to be happy, to be protected, to be healthy, to be safe, to be relaxed, and to be free from pain and suffering, discomfort, dissatisfaction, anxiety. So begin with that, recognize that. And then think of people around you that are not that close to your heart. Maybe there are people that you know from work, from the supermarket, from the local office, people that you might see every day. And you can think that I only know my mind. I don't know their mind at all. They're completely different to me. We're completely separate individuals. There's nothing whatsoever that binds us. Still, we can think that just like me, in whatever they do, at the very core of their heart, they have the same basic wish to be fit, to be well, to be happy, to be protected, to be safe, to be satisfied. And whatever they do is oriented towards attaining that, to avoid pain and suffering, being hurt or harmed. So think just like me, they want to be free from fear. Just like me, they want to be happy. So we're not different. Actually, there's an indivisible line, indivisible thread that connects our heart. And it vibrates with a wish to be happy and to be free from suffering. May they have that. May those people that are almost strangers to me, may they be free from anger and attachment. May they have a balanced mind, a mind that is not in pain, a mind that is equanimous. How wonderful it would be if the mind would be equanimous. May they be equanimous. And then try to extend it further and further away. In this place, in this region, in this state, in this country. The world is full with people that we don't know, that we've never met, having the same basic wish, vibrating from morning to evening. I want to be happy. I don't want to suffer. Exactly like me. May they have that. May their mind be free from anger and attachment. May their mind abide in equanimity. And then we can think of those who are close to our heart. Our parents, brothers, sisters, cousins, our partner, our children, good friends, childhood friends, friends from work or from other circles. So again, think, may they be free from anger and attachment. How wonderful it would be if my parents had a balanced mind, completely open and relaxed. How wonderful it would be if my brother, my sister, would have a mind that is completely at ease, free from anger and attachment. How would it affect the family life, the work, the daily activities with a mind that is completely free from anger and attachment? May they have that. And then think of someone that you dislike, that have harmed you before, physically or verbally, or someone that does not share the same values as you do, someone that disturbs your mind, and think just like me. The person want to be happy, they do not want to suffer. May their mind be free from anger and attachment. May they be well. May their mind be imbued with a sense of care for everyone. Without prejudice. So then think how wonderful it would be if all sentient beings, friends, enemies, and strangers, may all sentient beings without exception abide in equanimity, free of anger and attachment, free from a biased attitude that holds some as close to the heart and others as distant. May all of us care for everyone exactly in the same way. How wonderful it would be if all of us would do that. May we feel a sense of closeness to everyone. May we find everyone be dear to our heart. And think, I will make them become free from anger and attachment. Here and hereafter, in whatever way I can, I will try to influence the people that are first of all close to me. My friends, family members, those that I meet. I will try to interact with them with a way that is free from anger and attachment, and cause them also to have interactions which is free from anger and attachment as much as I can. All right. So Sonia is saying, not meaning to digress, but you stated how many breaths you count, depending on how much patience you have. I assume meditation does not accommodate impatience. Yeah, you're right. But you're right, Sonia. But sometimes I have days in which kind of feel edgy. Kind of I do a kind of like around the 21 breaths, doesn't work. Then another round of 21 breaths, doesn't work. Then another one. And then if it doesn't work, if my mind still feels a bit unsettled, going, I might think that, well, maybe I'll just take a break, go and have like a cup of tea, go back to my meditation and try again. Sonia is saying Sanglish accepts her impatience. We're all equally human. Who knew? Yeah. So I'm wondering if there are any comments or questions before we leave it here for today.
I really appreciate the 21 breath thing. I'm going to practice that because I think it's really simple and I feel that it is helping me focus. I know some days it may not, if I'm edgy, but I really like that you've taught that and made it simple.
Yeah, actually, thank you for that. It also works for me kind of in a mysterious way, in a sense that I've been involved with Buddhism for, I don't know, 20 odd years. And you kind of feel, we have been taught different forms of meditations. And I think that, 7 years ago, I got those simple instructions on how to construct basic meditations. And then suddenly the penny dropped. I found myself, I should have, I wish I had known about it before because this thing works for me. But I think that the way that we've practiced it before is rather than starting with 21, we started with 7, keeping even kind of our meditation spans even shorter and then just build on that. So it works for me. It works for you. That's great.
And I've always tried to completely fill my lungs. You saying to do it, let the breaths be natural, I think is much more relaxing.
Yeah.
Not trying to force breath.
Yeah. Well, I think that, again, I think that you get different meditation instructions, and I think that all of them could be equally valid. Now, I've had before, like, for example, in some guided meditations that I participated in, that some people said that begin with 2 or 3 deep breaths and then settle into kind of a more natural rhythm. But I think that you're right. Kind of, if you try to breathe heavily or kind of deeply, your body becomes tensed. And then if your body is tense, it also affects your mind. So it's quite interesting because when you allow your mind to flow naturally, you sometimes discover that you're breathing in a shallow way. And sometimes you're breathing deeply. It depends upon the day, your state of mind, your physical situation. Not every meditation session is the same. And it's okay if sometimes you breathe differently. Sometimes it's just kind of short, sometimes it's long, sometimes it's deep, sometimes it's shallow. All works. All right, so maybe let's leave it here for now. It's good to dedicate whatever positive thing you've got from your meditation or from thinking about those points. It's good to dedicate it for the development of equanimity in our own minds. So you can think that through whatever positive thing I've engaged with now, may I be able to develop equanimity in my mind? May all sentient beings also develop equanimity in their mind by the virtue of my equanimity, right? So it's good to think about it like that. So maybe let's just think about it for 10 seconds. Then we can also think that by this virtue, may I be able to develop bodhicitta, sustain bodhicitta, and increase it more and more. Thank you.
I feel fresh, like, but I made toothpaste.
I
I don't know, I feel that freshness now.
Maybe it's time to go for a run. All right. Thank you. Thank you, people at home.
Thank you, Venerable Kartsön.
Thank you. Meg, is that you?
Yeah.
Oh.
And Scott.
And Scott. How are you, Scott?
Oh, Venerable Kartsön.
No, it's okay. Where are you at the moment? Or at the present?
We're now in far western outback New South Wales.
Is it hot?
Yeah. I think.
Hey,
he's-
Yoshi.
Oh God! Ow! Come here.
How old is Yoshi now?
9.
9. Wow. How tall are you? Are you the tallest in your class?
Yes.
That's fairly tall. That's fairly tall.
Thank you, Venerable Kartsön.
Now, are you coming up north at some point?
Not at the moment, but we'll see you online.
All right. Well, when you guys, if you ever come up north, just let me know in advance. We need to hang out.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Maybe,
If you ever come to the middle of nowhere in far western New South Wales, come and hang out.
Who knows? Just beam me up or beam me down.
Thank you.
All right. Well, good to see you.
you do.
Bye-bye.